What is going on, everybody? Today's video is going to be a bit different. I'm going to try to about my first ever DC Absolute purchase. DC Absolute line is a line of different comics, whether it be one shots or a story arc such as Infinite Crisis or say The Dark Knight Returns. And it's oversized in a nice hardcover format. Really shows off and tells some of the best stories out in DC and beautiful pages. And my first ever DC Absolute is no other than the Killing Joke 30th anniversary edition, a story that has really taken over comics when it first came out. Man, this story is one of those stories for Batman lore, and DC lore in general too, that can be controversial, but also was really a different starting point. And written by Alan Moore, who has some fantastic art, or sorry, some fantastic stories out there, and has done a lot of great things in comics. And also drawn by by Brian Bolland, who, in my opinion, knocks it out of the park. I've been picking up a lot of his Wonder Woman covers lately, but he did perhaps my favorite take on the Joker, and a phenomenal art in this book. So yeah, let's take it out. And again, like I said, absolutes come in with a nice slipcase, and depending on the story, this is technically one story. It's not too big, but still, it is a great addition to the collection. And I love this thing, man. And what's great about Absolute too, and especially for the Killing Joke, is for the first time, I think it was in 2007, um, that Brian Bolland actually they did a hardcover copy, I think, and Brian wanted to, even though he drew it, he did not color it the way he wanted it in the 80s when the story came out. So unfortunately, he didn't get to do what he wanted. They had another person do it. And so this story shows you the Brian Bolland version with his own art, colored in by himself, and it's fantastic. And I think the original is still good, but once you see the original compared to what um, Brian wanted to do, it's a completely different thing. So you get to read both two different versions of it. The updated one with Brian's colored in shots from himself and stuff. And there's also always some sneak peek behind the scenes stuff in here, scripts. But let's just take a look at some of the stuff. You know, they said Alan Moore, doing his thing. Um, I love the opening of this comic, and Batman comes in and skip ahead a little bit, and he has this scene with Joker where he sits down and he's like, "Look, it's coming. Either I'm gonna kill you, you're gonna kill me. It's bound to happen. Somebody's gonna do it." Or maybe we can figure a way out. Maybe we can prevent that from ever happening. And I like the idea that Batman goes to him and says that. And then you get some flashback scenes, which let's see if I can find them. So in certain you can see here on certain shots and some of the flashback scenes, Brian actually doesn't do all color. He does it on certain objects. Um, and of course, you get the controversial spoiler on this next page. Joker appears and, yeah, shoots Barbara Gordon in the spine, kills her. But sorry, my bad. Doesn't kill her, paralyzes her, and she would become Oracle after this run until the early or mid 2000s when she would finally be able to regain her walking abilities. Um, just great artwork, phenomenal storytelling. Tip us overhead. This shot I love of the bat. I love the old Batmobile like that, or the bat symbol on the front like that. I think that's great. Um, And essentially, so Joker is, I guess, behind his whole scheme of things, paralyzing Barbara, but he's trying to corrupt Commissioner Gordon. So, shoots Barbara in front of Gordon, in front of her dad, takes him hostage, beats him down, um, shows him. Yeah. Okay, so Batman's already there. I skipped through it. I don't want to show it on here. It's a little bit controversial, but shows him revealing pictures of well, a naked Barbara Gordon and pictures who was shot. He's trying to break the spirit of Jim Gordon. He wants Jim to join him in the madness, I guess you could say. And he doesn't break him, surprisingly. He doesn't some bad stuff to him. And then, of course, Batman and Joker have this fight going after each other. And then there's this really kind of interesting ending uh, where, Batman's like one last attempt to reach out and talk to Joker and be like, look, man, let's end this madness. Let me help you. Let me rehabilitate you. And Joker's like, nah, it's far too late for that. And actually, Al more controversial, maybe to some. Me, I kind of like it, but he gives more of an origin story to Joker in this, and the flashbacks and how he read it. And I thought that was great. You kind of get an idea why Joker was doing what he did, and it ties into the 1927 Detective Comics style, which was great too. And I love how they did it, but then Joker tells essentially Batman a joke at the end. And there's this controversial panel where they're laughing. Batman puts his hand on Joker, laughing, laughing, and then it goes nothing. You just see the puddle of water. Now, it's always been said that supposedly Batman snaps his neck and kills Joker. Obviously, with this being in continuity and everything, that's not the case because Joker would go on to do more terrible things over the years and terrorize people. But it's interesting to think about it if it is a one shot and everything. And then, yeah, so from there, you get to go in, you get a forward. I think Tim Sale did the introduction. The forward here is by Brian Bolland, explaining everything. And then, like I said, from here, Brian actually took pictures. The cover is off of himself that he took a picture of, which I thought was really cool. Um, you get to see the different artwork. So this is kind of like what we got and what he wanted. Um, and then, like I said, you get to see, you saw some of the shots, and then we get to see the original color in the shots. So this is how the book originally looked. If you were to go out and buy the comic book version that came out originally before Brian put color into it. So I gotta say, based off of what you see here, um, in the different color, I think Brian's is my more favorite. I know, but still good. Then we get some sketches and stuff. You go through here, and then we have the full script. They have Alan Moore's whole complete script of the whole comic, which I thought was pretty cool. Um, with some notes and stuff. And some of it's actually beat up. Like it's hard to see some of the words because the script is so old. Kind of skip through this mostly. And then you get towards the back. Like I said, the script in here, I mean, compared to seeing a 48-page comic, obviously the script would probably be double that, I would imagine, maybe a little bit more. Let's see if we can. And then yeah, here's like a kind of one shot that Brian did. Again, phenomenal artwork. We got a penguin on there, Two Face. Perhaps a controversial scene right there. Batman being shot and killed. Yeah, no, that wouldn't happen. Right, again, script pages, and then it goes back and it shows a few pages of Brian's artwork over the years of Joker. And like I said, I mean, perhaps perhaps my favorite version of Joker drawn. Um, this is very cool. So, like I said, I've been collecting Brian's Wonder Woman. And right here, number 96, he has a that's the cover that you can buy today. And then over here, these are the original covers he had. This one, the first big one being the original reveal cover. DC at the time didn't want to do that, and then he had a couple of other covers they didn't go for, and so he ended up having to make this the official cover of Wonder Woman on '96. Sorry, and not his favorite. He didn't like it. I gotta say, I think for Joker collectors, for me, I love it. But still, yeah, I can see why. He would really want something a little bit different. So kind of cool to see a little bit of history of that. Think that's a updated little thing. This is the Dark Knight Master Race variant, Harley Quinn variant that he did. Some great, Red Hood, some commissions that he did. And then going back, these are the slip covers to the DVD of the animated The Killing Joke, which they did a controversial scene in there where Bruce and Barbara hook up. Um, I guess they wanted to add something in there. So yeah, and then you have back here, you just have a little forward of and John Higgins. Yeah, John Higgins was the original color artist in the 1980s who did it. And he even said it's a funny story. He says like he submitted it. He felt good about it. He still thinks it's good. He still thinks it looks good. And at the time when it came out, Brian didn't say like he loved it, but he was like okay, And then later in years in life at a Comic Con, a fan came up to him and said, "Look, I just met Brian Bolland. He said he hated your adaptation, and I think it is what it is. If you're an artist, and not all artists like to color. Some artists just like to draw, and they leave that up to the colorist. Some artists like to give their complete version, which is great. And Brian did that, and he got it in here in the book. And I think to see both compared, it's just in my opinion, seeing Brian's artwork really brings it out really good. So nothing against John, but still, I mean, it's a funny story in here to read and to hear about these two. And then, of course, on the last page, get a little bit about Alan Moore. So, yeah, this is my first DC Absolute. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I love this thing. Um, got this on sale. It goes for, I think it retails for $49.99 in the US and $65.99 in Canada. And I can honestly sit here and tell you that I only paid $24 and some change um, on this book. And that's because I got it off of Amazon. It's on sale right now. Probably still is as recording this video. Go check it out. So for like 24 bucks and some change, yeah, I said why not. I have a list of honestly absolutes I want to buy. Batman Year One I want to get. The Dark Knight is in absolute. Infinite Crisis on Earths. The second, the 2000s edition. That is in absolute. I want to buy that. Watchmen is an absolute, and V for Vendetta. Two other great Alan Moore stories. That I'd love to read. An absolute edition. And like I said, knowing that you get not just the stories in this oversized edition, hardcover, beautiful artwork, but you also get behind the scenes, you get scripts, artwork, sketches. I love seeing more behind the scenes. You'll get, um, a little bit of interviews, forwards by certain creators of the series and people that was inspired by it. I love reading that stuff. It's a part of DC history. A couple other books that I probably will look to get is New Frontier, which is by Dwayne Cook, if I'm not mistaken. And his story for New Frontier is bringing pretty much the Golden Age heroes and adapting them into a Silver Age storyline. So he bridges the gap, and it's like a six-issue series, and I heard it is fantastic. Uh, there are a bunch of other absolutes, and there's gonna be more coming out over the years. Shout out to DC. Um, yeah, I'm loving this. And like I said, a controversial story, a important part of DC history and Batman lore in general. especially what happens to Barbara and how going forward her story would be told different. And for many years she would be known as Oracle, and eventually would see her return as Batgirl. And then I'll also be on the hunt for this in a 9.8. There's 9 different printings of this in comic format. With the neon green being the first print. I want to get a 9.8 of that in the collection. Hopefully have that by the end of the year. But still, thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little review. I know there's already a ton of reviews and this book has been out before, but if you watched and you liked it, please do me a favor, hit that like button and please subscribe, hit the bell notification, get notified of future videos. Um, I think in the next month or two, I'm gonna get more into the omnings. I've been not saying neglecting that, but I need to get back into reviewing some omniverses, and I have some great ones. Just picked up volume 2 of Chip Zdarsky's run. I'm currently reading that right now, so I think I'm gonna film a volume 1 and 2 together since they're smaller. Um, Got that in the same package with this on Amazon, so you can buy Chips Volume 2 for like $52 on Amazon. Great steal, great price. I didn't have any problems with packaging, obviously, so go do that. That book's kind of like out of print right now at a lot of other places. It's hard to get. Gone back order as far as I know. And but yeah, so Killing Joke Absolute 30th Anniversary Edition. Alan Moore, Brian Bolland, what more could you ask for? And that's it, guys. Until next time, stay safe, take care of each other, and as always, we will see you in the next episode of Josh's Comics.